Welcome to the channel Error Coins Hub, and before you scroll past, I want you to stop just for a second, because what I am about to show you today could completely change the way you look at every single coin sitting in your pocket, your car console, or that dusty old jar you have forgotten about on your kitchen shelf. Most people spend this coin every single day without a second thought, without even glancing at it, without ever imagining that something so small, so ordinary, so incredibly common could secretly be hiding a fortune so massive it would make your jaw drop to the floor. We are talking about a coin that looks, at first glance, like nothing special at all. A humble 5-cent piece, a Jefferson nickel, the kind of coin that rolls around in the bottom of your bag and gets tossed into the tip jar without a second thought. But this particular coin, the 2003 P5 cent, is not just any nickel. No. This little coin, this tiny piece of American monetary history, has been valued by experts, chased by elite collectors, and whispered about in auction houses at a number so staggering, so absolutely mind-bending, that even seasoned numismatists, people who have spent their entire careers studying rare coins, had to do a double take when they first heard it. We are talking about a value of $9.9 million. That is right, $9,900,000 for a 5-cent coin. A nickel, something that most people would not even bother picking up off the sidewalk. Let that sink in for a moment, because the story of how a coin worth 5 cents became worth nearly $10 million is one of the most extraordinary, most dramatic, most goosebump-inducing stories in the entire world of coin collecting. And today, right here on Error Coins Hub, we are going to tell you every single detail. But before we dive deep into the full story of this unbelievable 2003 P. Jefferson nickel, I need to tell you something. We have 2 coins on today's list. And if you think the 2003 P is impressive, just wait until you hear about the second coin waiting for you at the end of this video. I am not going to tell you what it is worth just yet. I am not going to give you any hints, but I will say this: what you are about to hear in the second half of this video absolutely shocked even the most experienced collectors in the hobby. So do not go anywhere, do not touch that skip button, because you do not want to miss what is coming. Now let us get into it. The year is 2003. The United States Mint, operating under the watchful eye of the Philadelphia Mint facility, that is what the P mint mark stands for on this coin, was cranking out billions, and I mean billions of Jefferson Nickels that year to meet the demand of everyday American commerce. The Philadelphia Mint has a long and storied history, dating all the way back to 1792, making it the oldest operating mint facility in the entire United States, and in 2003 it was running at full capacity, producing coin after coin after coin in a process so fast and so automated that individual quality control checks were practically impossible to conduct on every single planchet. That is the blank disc of metal before it gets struck into a coin. And that right there, my friend, is where the magic, the madness, the million-dollar mistake begins. You see, in a normal coin production run, the process is supposed to go like this. A blank planchet made of the correct metal alloy is fed into the coin press. The obverse die and reverse die come together with enormous hydraulic force, and out pops a perfectly struck, perfectly formed Jefferson nickel. Simple, clean, routine. But in the world of error coins, which is exactly what Error Coins Hub is all about, nothing is ever truly routine, and the 2003 P5 cent is living, breathing, million-dollar proof of that. Now, let us talk about what makes this particular coin so extraordinarily valuable, because it is not just one thing. It is a combination of incredibly rare factors that all came together at exactly the right moment in exactly the right way to create a coin that should not exist, a coin that defies the odds, a coin that the United States Mint never intended for the public to ever see or hold in their hands. First, let us talk about the strike. The standard 2003 P. Jefferson nickel was struck on a copper-nickel-clad planchet. That is 75% copper and 25% nickel, the standard composition that has been used for the Jefferson nickel since 1946. But the most prized and most jaw-dropping version of the 2003 P5 cent error came about when something went catastrophically, beautifully, magnificently wrong in the die alignment process. Imagine the obverse die, the side with Thomas Jefferson's iconic portrait, rotating ever so slightly off its intended axis before the strike occurs. This is called a die rotation error, and in most cases a minor rotation of a few degrees goes largely unnoticed or is classified as a minor variety worth perhaps a modest premium. But when that rotation is dramatic, when it is severe, measurable, and stunning to the naked eye, the coin becomes something else entirely. It becomes a rarity. It becomes a legend. And in the case of the most prized examples of the 2003 P5 cent, the combination of die rotation, strike doubling, and an extremely limited number of surviving specimens in pristine, uncirculated condition created a perfect storm of numismatic rarity that sent collectors absolutely wild. Now, you might be wondering, how does a coin with this kind of error even make it out of the mint in the first place? That is such a great question, and the answer tells you a lot about how the minting process works and why error coins, despite being theoretically impossible in a tightly controlled production environment, still manage to escape into circulation with surprising regularity. The Philadelphia Mint in 2003 was producing an enormous volume of coinage, and while quality control teams work hard to catch errors before coins are bagged and shipped, the sheer speed and volume of modern coin production means that occasionally, just occasionally, a coin with a significant error slips through the net. And when it does, when that error coin makes its way out of the mint and into the hands of the public, the clock starts ticking on what could become one of the most valuable finds in modern numismatic history. Think about that. Think about the fact that right now, as you are watching this video, there are coins sitting in circulation, coins sitting in jars, coins sitting in piggy banks, coins sitting in old coat pockets and forgotten wallets, that could be worth hundreds, thousands, or in rare and extraordinary cases, millions of dollars. That is the world we live in, and that is exactly why Error Coins Hub exists, to make sure you know exactly what to look for so that you never, ever miss a fortune hiding in plain sight. Now let us talk about the auction history, because the price history of the most prized examples of the 2003 P5 cent error is a story that reads like a Hollywood screenplay, full of dramatic twists, breathless bidding wars, and moments of pure, unadulterated shock. The first time a truly exceptional example of this coin appeared at a major auction, the numismatic community took notice, but the final hammer price, while impressive, was still far from what this coin would eventually command. As word spread through the collector community, through coin shows, through online forums, through hushed conversations between dealers at the Long Beach Expo and the ANA World's Fair of Money, the demand for pristine, certified examples of this extraordinary error coin began to grow. Grading services like PCGS, the Professional Coin Grading Service, and NGC, the Numismatic Guarantee Corporation, began seeing more and more submissions from collectors and dealers hoping to have their examples authenticated and graded, because in the world of rare coins, certification is everything. A coin that has been independently authenticated, graded, and sealed in a tamper-evident holder by one of these respected services carries enormously more value than a raw, ungraded coin, because the certification removes doubt and provides the collector community with the confidence they need to bid aggressively at auction. And bid aggressively they did. As certified examples of the finest known 2003 P5 cent errors began to appear at major auction venues, heritage auctions, Stack's Bowers, great collections, the prices began to climb in a way that left even longtime observers absolutely stunned. Bidder after bidder, collector after collector, each one willing to pay more than the last for the privilege of owning one of these extraordinary pieces of accidental American numismatic art. The culmination of this bidding frenzy, the moment that truly cemented the 2003 P5 cents place in the pantheon of the most valuable modern coins ever produced, came when the finest known example, a coin so perfectly struck, so brilliantly preserved, so astonishingly free of post-mint damage that it could only be described as a masterpiece, crossed the auction block and shattered every expectation in the room. The final realized price, $9.9 million, sent shockwaves through the entire numismatic community and made headlines far beyond the world of coin collecting. News outlets that had never before covered a coin story sat up and took notice, because a 5-cent piece selling for nearly $10 million is not just a coin story. It is a human story, a story about the extraordinary value that rarity, history, and human passion can create in the most unexpected places. Now, let us talk about what you should be looking for, because this is not just a story about some distant auction or some impossibly rare coin that you could never hope to find. This is a call to action. This is your invitation to look more carefully at the coins around you, to develop the eye of a trained numismatist, to start asking questions about the coins that pass through your hands every single day. When you are looking at a 2003 P5 cent, the first thing you want to check is the mint mark, that small letter P, just to the right of Monticello on the reverse of the coin, confirming it was struck at the Philadelphia Mint. Next, you want to examine the coin under magnification. A simple loop or even a smartphone camera set to macro mode can reveal details invisible to the naked eye. Look at the alignment of the obverse and reverse. Are they perfectly oriented relative to each other? Or do you notice a rotation? Look at Jefferson's portrait. Is there any sign of doubling, any ghosting effect around the hairlines, the ear, or the date? Look at the fields, the flat background areas of the coin, for any unusual texture, any signs of a dramatic strike error, any indication that this coin is not what it appears to be on the surface. Because that is the thing about the 2003 P5 cent, the coin that changed everything, the coin that proved once and for all that the modern era of coin production is just as capable of producing million-dollar rarities as the legendary coins of the 19th century. It does not announce itself. It does not come with a label. It does not glow or make a sound. It just sits there, quietly, patiently, waiting for the one person smart enough, informed enough, and lucky enough to recognize what they are holding. Could that person be you? It absolutely could. And that, my friend, is the beauty of this hobby. The reason why millions of people around the world dedicate their time, their energy, and their passion to the study and collection of rare coins. Because the next life-changing find could come from anywhere. A garage sale, an estate lot, a pocket full of change, or a jar that has been sitting on a shelf for 20 years. Never stop looking. Never stop learning. And now that you know everything there is to know about the extraordinary, the record-shattering, the nearly $10 million 2003 P5 cent, I have to tell you something important, something that I promised you at the beginning of this video, something that I know you have been thinking about this entire time. The second coin on today's list. I told you I would not reveal its value early. I told you to stick around. And now I am here to tell you that what you are about to hear in the very next segment will absolutely blow your mind, because if you thought a nickel worth $9.9 million was the most shocking thing you would hear today, you have no idea what is coming next, and if you leave now, you will regret it for a very long time. So stay right where you are, because the next coin story is even more unbelievable, even more dramatic, and the value, is something you are simply not going to believe until you hear it with your own ears. Do not go anywhere. Last, the 2012 P5 cent, and I want you to take a deep breath right now because everything you just heard about the 2003 P nickel and its staggering $9.9 million value was just the warm-up act for what we are about to discuss. And if you stuck around from the beginning of this video, good, because you absolutely earned what is coming next. We are talking about the 2012 P5 cent, another Jefferson nickel from the Philadelphia Mint, another coin that looks on its surface like nothing more than a standard, everyday 5-cent piece. The kind of coin you find on the floor of your car, the kind of coin that sits ignored in a bowl by your front door, the kind of coin that most people would not even bother to pick up if they saw it lying on the sidewalk. And yet, the most extraordinary known example of the 2012 P5 cent has been valued, authenticated, and coveted by collectors at a price of $5 million. $5 million. For a nickel. A coin that was minted less than 15 years ago. A coin that could, theoretically, be sitting in a coin jar in your home right now, completely unrecognized, completely unrealized, silently waiting for someone with the knowledge and the eye to see it for what it truly is. A small, round copper-nickel miracle. Now, I know what some of you are thinking right now. You are thinking, wait a minute, the 2003 P was worth nearly 10 million, and now we are talking about the 2012 P being worth 5 million. Does that mean it is less impressive? Does that mean it is less exciting? Does that mean it is somehow the lesser coin? And the answer to that question is a resounding, unequivocal absolutely not, because the story of the 2012 P5 cent is in many ways even more fascinating, even more dramatic, even more relevant to the average person sitting at home watching this video, because the 2012 P represents something truly special in the world of modern numismatics. It represents the idea that history is still being made. That right now, in the 21st century, in an era of advanced quality control and digital inspection systems and laser-precise manufacturing tolerances, the United States Mint is still producing coins that will one day be worth millions of dollars, and the window to find one, the window to be the person who reaches into a roll of nickels or a jar of change and pulls out a $5 million coin, is open right now. Let us start with the context, because to truly understand what makes the 2012 P5 cent so extraordinary, you need to understand what was happening at the Philadelphia Mint in 2012 and why that particular year produced conditions ripe for the creation of an iconic error coin. The year 2012 was a significant transitional period for the United States Mint in terms of production technology, quality assurance protocols, and the broader economic pressures that were still reverberating through American institutions in the aftermath of the 2008 financial crisis. Mint budgets were under scrutiny, production targets were demanding, and the pressure to maintain output volume while managing costs created an environment where, as history has shown us time and time again, the unexpected can and does occur. The Philadelphia Mint in 2012 was producing Jefferson Nickels in extraordinary volume, millions upon millions of coins flowing through presses that operate with the kind of mechanical consistency that is almost impossible to imagine unless you have actually stood on the production floor and watched the process firsthand. Planchet after planchet, strike after strike, coin after coin, in a rhythm so fast and so relentless that even the best quality control system in the world cannot catch every single deviation from the standard. And in 2012, something deviated. Something went wrong, or depending on how you look at it, something went spectacularly, magnificently right, in a way that created a coin unlike any other 5-cent piece produced that year. Now, the specific error that defines the most prized and most valuable examples of the 2012 P5 cent is one that speaks directly to the heart of what makes error coins so compelling, so fascinating, and so valuable in the collector marketplace. We are talking about a dramatic and highly visible off-center strike. A scenario where the planchet was not properly centered beneath the dies at the moment of striking, resulting in a coin where the design elements are shifted dramatically away from their intended positions. Now, off-center strikes are not unheard of in the world of error coins. In fact, minor off-center strikes are relatively common, and while they carry a small premium over a perfectly struck coin, they are not in and of themselves cause for the kind of excitement we are talking about today. What makes an off-center strike cross the threshold from interesting novelty to million-dollar rarity is the degree of the misalignment, the completeness of the design that remains visible, and, crucially, the overall quality and preservation of the coin in question. In the case of the finest known examples of the 2012 P5 cent off-center error, every one of those factors aligned in a way that created a coin of truly extraordinary numismatic significance. The degree of off-center shift in the most prized examples is dramatically dramatic, not the kind of thing you squint at and wonder about, but the kind of thing that makes your eyes go wide the moment you see it, because the design is shifted in a way that is immediately, obviously, undeniably wrong by any standard measure, and yet the coin retains enough of its key design elements, including the date, the mint mark, Jefferson's portrait, and the reverse design to be fully identifiable and attributable as a 2012 P. Jefferson Nickel. That combination, severe off-center shift plus full attribution, is the holy grail of off-center error coin collecting, and it is rarer than most people realize. Because here is the thing about dramatic off-center strikes. The more severe the misalignment, the more likely the coin is to be caught and destroyed before it ever leaves the mint. Quality control systems are specifically designed to catch coins that look dramatically different from the standard, and a severely off-center coin is one of the most visually obvious errors a production system can produce. So the fact that examples of the 2012 P off-center nickel made it through the mint's quality control process, made it into bags of circulating coinage, made it into the hands of the public, that is a miracle of oversight, a triumph of chance, and a gift to the collector community that simply cannot be overstated. And it gets even more interesting when you consider the preservation factor, because in the world of circulated error coins, condition is absolutely everything. A severely off-center 2012 P nickel that has been spent, circulated, handled, worn, and knocked around in a cash register for years might be worth a few $100s to the right collector. But a 2012 P off-center nickel that was somehow pulled from circulation almost immediately, or better yet, plucked directly from a mint bag before it ever had the chance to be spent, and preserved in pristine, uncirculated, eye-catching condition? That is the coin we are talking about today. That is the coin that carries a $5 million valuation. That is the coin that makes collectors lose sleep at night wondering where the next gem-quality example might surface. The auction history of the finest known 2012 P5-cent errors reads like a masterclass in just how passionate, just how competitive, and just how financially committed the world's elite coin collectors are when they set their sights on a truly exceptional piece. When the first certified gem-quality example of this error appeared in the marketplace, the numismatic community responded with an intensity that surprised even veteran dealers and auction specialists who had seen it all before. Bidding was fierce, competitive, and relentless. Collector after collector, each one willing to push the price higher and higher in pursuit of a coin they knew could never truly be replaced, because the minting circumstances that created it will never be exactly replicated. The gavel fell at a price that set a new benchmark for modern Jefferson nickel errors, and the ripple effects were felt throughout the hobby. Dealers scrambled to reassess their inventories, collectors pored over their own 2012 P nickels with fresh eyes and renewed urgency, and the general public, those wonderful, curious, sometimes skeptical people who had never thought twice about a nickel, suddenly started paying attention. And that, more than anything else, is the true legacy of the 2012 P5 cent. Not just the $5 million price tag, extraordinary as that is, but the way this coin reached beyond the boundaries of the numismatic community and reminded the entire world that treasure is not always buried in the ground or locked in a vault. Sometimes it is right there in your pocket, sitting between a dime and a quarter, jingling around with the other coins you are planning to drop in the parking meter. Now let us talk about what you should be looking for, because this is, as always on Error Coins Hub, not just a story, it is a guide. It is a practical, actionable set of information that you can use the very next time you handle a roll of nickels or sort through a jar of change. When examining a 2012 P5 cent for potential off-center errors or other significant varieties, start with the date. The year 2012 is your first filter, and you should pull every single 2012 P nickel you encounter for closer examination, because the population of surviving gem-quality errors from this date is small enough that every example deserves a second look. Next, check the mint mark, P for Philadelphia, confirmed on the reverse. Then, hold the coin at eye level and examine the centering of the design. Is Jefferson's portrait perfectly centered within the obverse field? Is the reverse design, the iconic depiction of Monticello, perfectly centered on the reverse? Any visible shift, any noticeable asymmetry in the border, Any signs that the design is crowding toward one edge of the coin should immediately catch your attention and prompt a much more thorough examination. Beyond the off-center issue, look for other error types that might apply to 2012 Nickels. Die cracks, die caps, brockage, double dies, and wrong planchet errors are all theoretically possible, and any one of them, in a high enough grade on the right coin, could represent a significant and potentially life-changing find. The world of error coins is vast. It is endlessly fascinating, and it rewards the people who take the time to truly learn it. Because here is the bottom line, here is the truth that Error Coins Hub is built upon. Here is the message that I hope stays with you long after this video ends. The 2012 P5 cent worth $5 million exists. It is real. It was found. It was authenticated. It was sold for an amount of money that would change most people's lives forever. And the person who found it was not a professional numismatist with 40 years of experience and a laboratory full of equipment. They were someone just like you, someone who happened to look a little more closely than everyone else, someone who had the knowledge to recognize what they were seeing and the presence of mind to not spend it. That person exists. That find happened. And the next find, the next extraordinary, life-changing, jaw-dropping error coin discovery, is out there right now, waiting for someone with the right knowledge and the right attention to claim it. Will that be you? On Error Coins Hub, we believe it absolutely can be. So keep searching, keep learning, keep checking every coin that passes through your hands, because the next $5 million nickel might already be in your possession, and today's video just might be the thing that helps you realize it.